Welcome to our webinar today. We're happy to have you. There's been a little bit additional information this week that we want to cover, but mostly we just want to be able to give you an opportunity to ask any questions you have. I want to thank Kathy Hajeb from Lassonde for being here in case you have any questions around housing. And as always, Sheena McFarland from our marketing and communications team is here. She will be uploading the video of this webinar to our website, so you can get to that and all of our past webinar tapes if you go to eccles.link/fall2020. So the big thing that happened this week is that we were able to re-release the schedule. That happened yesterday. I know there was some visibility to it on Monday and Tuesday, and you got to, for those of you who looked at that, we were making some updates live, but we have those updated, and I thought it would be useful for me to provide some of the terminology that was included in that. So I'm going to put some slides up really quick. So we've already talked about the types of classes that we have, but there's been some more fine tuning of the language that's in the schedule. So there's 5 different kinds of classes that you will see in the schedule. Hybrid is a mixture of in-person and asynchronous online. So asynchronous means that you can do it anytime. Synchronous means that the digital portion will be taking place during the class time. So if you see a course description of hybrid, that's going to be a mixture of in-person and asynchronous online modalities. And then we have IVC, which is interactive video conferencing. This is a synchronous delivery using technology. So the class has a time, but Canvas is the location. So you will be meeting as a class during that time period through Canvas on your computers. Now, IVC Hybrid is a mixture of in-person and synchronous online modalities. So this might take place if it's the Monday, Wednesday class, you might be assigned to Monday, and then Wednesday you will be linking in synchronously through online. And we'll let you know before school starts which day that you'll be assigned to. So if there is a class that meets twice a week, then a portion of the class will meet one of the days and another portion of the class will meet the other day. And then you will have when you're not actually there, you'll be tapping into that through Canvas. Now, in person is that the class is fully in person. Now, we know that there is a likelihood that there's going to be higher than average illnesses, and so we'll make sure that there is a way, if you're sick, that you can still get that content. So all of the course content must be available for students who aren't able to attend, but the class is taking place in person, and everyone in the class can participate. And then online is a class that is free of time and place restrictions. So all the content is delivered via technology, and you will not be having any synchronous meetings. So as you get into the schedule, you should see these 5 different definitions of what a class looks like. Now, one of the things that happened is some of the classes we had to make adjustments to, and we had to change the number of students attending. And so there were some instances where a class had to be deleted and re-added. So if you were already scheduled for that class, it might have been dropped from your schedule. So if you haven't already, make sure that you look at your schedule and you make sure that you add back any classes that you might have been dropped from. The dropping was just because of the need to make necessary adjustments in the schedule. And so the classrooms, the adjustments, all of that should be all online. We've been double and triple checking those. And so if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask here, or you can reach out to your academic advisor, or you can go on our web link, which I mentioned before is eccles.link/fall2020. And then you can get into the chat function and ask a question. You can also get into academic advising through the Eccles site and schedule an appointment with your academic advisor if you need help putting your schedule back together. And then I just want to show again the university website. They're constantly updating information on this website. It is returntocampus.utah.edu. So there's some really good information on there as well. The communication that we've been getting from the leadership is that we should be thinking about fall a little bit as a dial as far as being able to react to what's happening. So at any given time, there could be some people that are out because they're sick. There could be some things happening on campus that may cause us to make some adjustments, but it's not so much about turning it off or on. It's about reacting on campus to what the situation is. So there's been a lot of planning that's been happening over the summer all across campus within the David Eccles School of Business, so that we have a lot of different plans to adapt to the situation that's happening. The one thing I want to mention is that the university is in a really amazing place as far as the location where we are with all of the health facilities, all the information that we're getting from the health the departments on campus, UHealth. And Dr. Michael Good has been sending out weekly updates on the pandemic. And so while cases in the state of Utah have been going up, hospitalization rates have been going down and death rates have been going down. So they're keeping a lot of key analysis and looking at all of the statistics and having lots of conversations along the way. So we do have many different reactions to what's happening to adjust and keep you safe that will happen before needing to close campus again. So I thought that that was really good imagery that Dan Reed, our SVP of academics, kind of talked through this week, that we'll be able to be adding and taking away some protocols as the pandemic shifts, and that we're in a great position to be able to look at that and know what to do. So I wanted to offer up an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have. And if I don't have the answer, then I will get the answer and talk about it on next week's webinar. But I want to make sure that I can answer really whatever questions that you have today. So if you have a question, you go to the bottom of your screen and there's a Q&A feature. And so you can just type your question in Q&A. There's also a chat feature, and I'll be looking at both. So if you have any questions, type them into Q&A or chat. And while you're doing that, I'm going to turn it over to Kathy to see if there's any updates from a housing standpoint.
Hi, everybody. So as Andrea mentioned, I'm Kathy Hajeb. I'm here from the Lassonde Institute, and we're just ready for you guys to come back to campus. I've missed you. I got an opportunity yesterday to go to campus and walk through Lassonde Studios, and boy, it's just not the same without all of you students. So we're excited to have you come back. We're really fortunate. Housing has a well-established practice and protocol for supporting students through normal kinds of illness. They've got isolation rooms that they've got offline so that they can support students. They've got meal delivery service. So know that the protocols are in place, well practiced, and you can feel comfortable coming to campus. It's kind of fun to really think about what this new fall 2020 is going to be like. I think teaching is going to be different. I think all of us are going to really deliver a whole new experience, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be fun for all of you. So feel free, if you've got any questions about housing specific or Lassonde, drop those in the Q&A, but we're just excited to have you come back.
Thanks, Kathy. Kathy also teaches in our B Corps, and so she's getting ready for classes, and typically those are larger classes in the auditorium, and so it'll have a rotating schedule that we're preparing for. If you're worried about what's going to happen in my class, what's it going to look like, we're actually having conversations, and we will be providing very specific information that will be in Canvas. So the syllabus that you typically get is going to look different this year. It's going to be a lot more detailed, and it will talk about what happens in a classroom, what happens if you're sick, what does attendance look like. So all of those details are going to be provided in your syllabus that comes through every one of the classes that you have signed up for. So I'm going to go to the Q&A function. For hybrid IVC classes, how and who will determine which students attend on which days? So thank you for that question. We were just on a committee meeting this morning talking about this. So if the university doesn't have a protocol for the entire university, we within the business school will come up with that. We've talked about a couple of different things. Do you do the day of your birthday, whether it's odd or even, you know, how exactly will we be doing that? We're waiting to hear from the university, but what we want to do is make sure that it is consistent so that all of your classes you're attending on the same day if they're on the same day. So if you have Monday, Wednesday classes, you have, let's say you have 3 Monday, Wednesday classes, then we want to make sure it's consistent for you so that you attend in person all on the same day. But we'll have to get back to you exactly how that's going to happen because we're awaiting direction from the university. So it will be done before class starts, and it will be very clear who's going to go, and it's going to be on something simple so that it will be easy to remember. So more to come on that. Other questions? I'll give you a couple minutes to see if there are any other questions. I can comment on some of the things that we're doing for activities. So Kathy, I'll let you comment on some of the things that you're planning around housing. I can tell you within the David Eccles School of Business, club meetings, business scholar activities, all of those, we're planning and honestly planning couple different ways. So in the event that we're allowed to travel within the state, then we'll be going down to Zion for the leadership retreat for business scholars. If we can't, then we will be doing the leadership retreat virtually. And so we're going to make all those adjustments within the next couple of weeks. And before you start school, you'll know what your semester is going to look like. And then, like I mentioned before, we're going to be making adjustments to the reality of what's happening within the pandemic. But we are planning virtual events, and we're trying to do as many in-person events as we can. I can tell you that there are the social distancing rules that we've talked about before. When you're in a building, you are required to wear a mask and you need to be 6 feet apart. If you're outside and you remain 10 feet apart, you don't need a mask. If you need to be closer, like if you're going to be passing people on campus, that type of thing, the recommendation is to wear a mask. You will be sent a mask to your home. We've received them for faculty, and they're actually very nice. They're adjustable and they work really well. And so you'll be getting those. And so we are also setting up tents around the David Eccles School of Business so that there are places to meet outside. And so if you want to have your study groups or things like that, and you're staying, you're distanced apart from each other, there will be places that you can go outside. There's also some classrooms that were originally set up for 30 students that allow 8 people with 6 feet in between them. So those will be available for studying as well. So there's a question, as a parent, I'm concerned about the experience for freshmen. I also have a junior at the U and he struggled as a freshman with so much social distancing. How will freshmen adjust to the college experience and being away from home? So that's something that we're committed to making sure that all of our students have a good experience. The experience will look different under the pandemic. And so we're doing as much as we can to help people meet and get to know others. There's mentorship programs. I know in housing, you have the RAs, you also have mentors there, and business scholars. We have our ambassadors, which will help mentor the students. And we've talked a lot about group work and how to do group work and how to make sure people can work together even though they can't get within 6 feet of each other. And so we're working on ways for that to happen as well. Kathy, do you want to comment on what you're thinking about from a housing standpoint and even in your classroom?
Well, and I can tell you even what we've been doing with Lassonde Studios. So the Lassonde Institute typically runs over 300 different activities for students to kind of explore what the entrepreneurial mindset's like. We've got a wood shop, metal shop, makerspace in Lassonde Studios. And we've been running all of our programming virtually all summer. And what we've been finding is really kind of cool. So we run a regular Get Started with Your Idea workshop, and we've been doing that via Zoom. And it's been a much more hands-on, well, face-on maybe is a better way to say it than hands-on, personal experience between students and some of the mentors we've got from the community and from our team. And so we've learned some best practices that we'll carry into the fall. So we will do the same kind of dial approach. We are planning for activities to be virtually. We're also planning for them to be in person in smaller groups. I can tell you within housing, some of the protocols that I think your students have talked about or have been asked to commit to is we won't be inviting guests into the residential spaces. So we're keeping those smaller kind of family-sized communities within the housing, which enables students to really become closer friends with that group. So I think you'll see some upside to this that we haven't anticipated. Our makerspace will be opened. We'll just do a reservation system where students can come in, still do some hands-on work, but that won't be as much of a drop-in. And I hear the concern of how does this look to a first-year student? I think it's going to look different to a first-year student, and in some ways, they're going to have more one-on-one. I'm doing more one-on-one Zoom calls with students than I've ever done before, where that gives them a chance to meet with a faculty member, chance to meet with a mentor. It's going to be different, but know that it's our top priority, that it's going to be a good experience.
Yeah, one thing I'll say to this is we're actually very fortunate at the University of Utah to have such a beautiful campus and a lot of space on campus. In addition, it's in the foothills of the mountains, and there's a lot of outdoor space. And the weather's going to be really nice for at least the first half of the semester. Oftentimes, clear through the month of October, we have weather that you can be outside a lot. And so I think that we do have a lot of things planned. The risk level goes down dramatically when you're outside versus inside. And so we're planning some outdoor activities, and I think that will provide students with an opportunity to kind of meet people and get to know people more because we can do things outside. And so hopefully between what we're doing virtually, the mentorship programs that we have, we're hiring more TAs than we've ever done before to help kind of manage the conversation within the classroom. So we're doing our best to update the experience so that while it needs to be different to manage the risk of the pandemic, that it's not minimizing the opportunity that students have to interact with their faculty within class and with fellow students just in their downtime as well. So I'm looking to see if there's any other questions. We're getting pretty close to being able to release all the syllabus. That usually happens towards the beginning of August. And so there will be a lot more specific information for you for your classes once we can do that. I think that the information that you have now making choices in classes. So I know there's some students that might be concerned about coming to campus because of a medical condition that they have. And so now you can see very clearly within the schedule which classes are taught purely online. And so you can just see how the classes are being taught so you can make your schedule work for you based on your level of comfort. So I'm just checking one last time. I think I've answered all of the questions that were asked on today's webinar. We will be back next Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And for every webinar, we announce whatever new has happened and then just answer whatever questions that you have. And so we'll be doing this at least through the month of July and potentially clear up until school starts. It just depends on how many questions we have and how things are adjusting in the month of August. But we'll continue to do these every Thursday at 1 p.m. throughout the month of July. And then I'll let you know as we get closer to August if these will continue until school starts. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, if you want to go back and listen to anything or any of our past webinars, you'll find them all on eccles.link/fall2020. Thanks so much.